Right, good afternoon, everybody. It's 1 o'clock, so we'll get going. Chris Burge here from Spark Crowdfunding, if you don't know me, and this is webinar number 11, believe it or not. We've gone through a good number of them so far this year. Today we have got Oliver Kerwin from HotFoot going to do a presentation for us, and then there'll be the usual question and answers session afterwards. And if you're unfamiliar with that, there's if you go down to the bottom part of your Zoom screen, there's a Q&A button, and you can tap in your questions there, and we'll get Oliver to answer those afterwards. But just before I introduce you to Oliver, I just wanted to give you a quick update as to where we are at the moment. We've just closed 2 campaigns in the last week or so. We had HorsePay, who raised 120,000 with us, so they're 120% of their target. With 136 investors in there, an amazing job that they did, and the legal work for them is now underway, of course. Digitally also closed at the same time, raising 280,000, again over their target by 140%, with 56 investors. So yeah, amazing job that both of those companies did to get there. Live at the moment, of course, we've got HotFoot, which again I'll introduce you to Oliver in a minute. But we have Moby there as well, both doing very, very well. Still live for a number of days yet. Moby closes next week, and Oliver, of course, is open for another 20 odd days, I think. But we've got a number of ones that will be live before Christmas. 2 or 3 hopefully will be live up before we go on our Christmas break. So all of which will be EIS, as most of our companies are. So that means that you, as an investor, if you put in €1,000, let's say, you get €400 back, so 40% back on your investments. Without further ado, I think we should get back onto the main topic of today, which is HotFoot. So Oliver, if you'd like to open your camera and sound, please, and I'll introduce you. So this is Oliver Kerwin from HotFoot. So Oliver, you've got your slide deck in the background there, hopefully. So if you'd like to share the screen, and away you go.
Now, just 2 seconds. Super. Okay. That's great.
Cheers, Oliver.
Thanks a million. Thanks a million, Chris. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us today, and thanks to Chris and the gang in Spark Crowdfunding for hosting this webinar. So I know we're all up to our eyes in Zoom meetings these days, so I really appreciate your time. Lunchtime it is. So I'll keep this presentation short. Hopefully I won't bore you to tears, but I'm really looking forward to telling you guys the story about HotFoot and our new project HotFoot. So as Chris said, he introduced me there. My name is Oliver Kerwin, and I said I'm excited to introduce a new investment opportunity, which is HotFoot. So what we are developing is an exciting new sports tracker app called HotFoot. Okay, so not all of you listening today are runners or cyclists. But those of you that are will really understand the reliance fitness enthusiasts nowadays have on technology. So every single step, every single heartbeat, and every activity is recorded and analysed within an inch of its life. And how many of us people here have heard people talking about trying to get their 10,000 steps in, and seen people do laps of the car park just trying to squeeze in their last steps that they have. And this has given rise really to the one, which is the sports tracking industry. So through wearable devices like smartwatches, smartphones, now the sports and fitness tracking industry is available to everybody. So is the market itself then, I just want to outline to you what the existing market is out there. So currently there are 650 million people worldwide who use sports tracker apps on their smartphones. And this is growing at 25% annually. So by 2023, there will be over 1.3 billion users of sports trackers. And we feel with our product, HotFoot, we're in a really good position to capitalize on that. So we're not the only ones out there doing with sports trackers in this industry. As I said, it's growing. But there's some clear main players in the industry that we have analysed as part of our business plan and a part of our process. Some of the main players in the industry are, and really the market leader in this industry is Strava, okay? And it's got 85 million users worldwide. Another player in it is Map My Run, and that's got 165 million users. Zwift, which is an indoor sports tracking app and platform, that's got 2 million. And then you've got Komoot, which has 8 million users. And they're a relatively new platform. You know, the last 4 or 5 years, they've grown 8 million users. And they focus on stuff that's not really as mainstream as what we're looking at. They're focused on off-road mountain biking and hiking. And they've gathered those 8 million users over a couple of years. And then what's fairly common with very common with the celebrities these days is Peloton. So people they have 2 million users. So people are using these apps. They're out there and people use them all the time. Okay. So our app, HotFoot, okay, how is it different to some of the other apps that are out there? And that's the key. Is what's making us different to the other apps that are out there? What's our USP? So we do 3 things differently, 3 main things differently, okay, than what the other apps do. So our app is community-based, okay? So what do I mean by that? So HotFoot has thousands of running and cycling routes all around the world created by the users of the app and micro-influencers who are our ambassadors. And this allows us to shape HotFoot around the community, as opposed to some of the other apps that are out there. They're based on data, they're based on training, and we really want to create that culture and that active community. So that's the first difference that we have as a USP. Second one is that it guides people around the routes that they choose using audio cues. So your headphones when you're running around or on your bike, it sends notifications to your bike computer. So it uses these audio cues with GPS positional mapping and live notifications sent to your smartwatch, your bike computer, or your smartphone. So that's the other distinguishing point with us. And a real USP really sets us apart from the other tracking platforms. Set out on HotFoot, you can select who you want to ghost, okay? So if your friend ran the exact same route as you did last week, okay, and you decide to do it this week, you can get that how you're progressing as opposed to them. So you'll get notifications on your phone or on your bike computer or through audio cues to tell you that you're 200 meters behind your friends, you got to hurry up, or that you're in the lead, or you're behind by 1 kilometer. You know, so this also can be done for the fastest time on the route, the average time on the route, or your personal best on all the different routes that we have. So that really sets us apart as our USP for HotFoot. Okay, so I'll give you a quick example of how it actually works. Okay, so how this actually works. So say if you were in New York, okay, and you want to do a 10K run tomorrow night, but you don't just want to go outside your hotel or your apartment and turn left and start doing laps. Okay, nobody wants that. Okay, so you want to do a route that you know is safe, that you know is interesting, and you know that's created by another runner from New York, maybe somebody local who knows the best places possibly to run. Okay, and have a good experience at that. So you go onto the HotFoot app, you search for your run, whether it's a 10K run or a half marathon or a cycle or a 5K run, and you find the one that suits you or that's close to you. Then you click another button which tells you to bring you to the start line. So that'll then bring you to the start line and it guides you to that. And when you get to the start line, you start your 10K run, and you'll be notified by the audio cues and the notifications to complete your run. It'll guide you around, a bit like kind of sat nav, turn left here, turn right there, over the hill, at the next junction, 200 meters, stuff like that. So that's the way it'll guide you around through it. Okay, and then during that run, you can decide who you want to ghost. So as I explained earlier, the ghost function is you can ghost the fastest runner on the route, or you can fast the average time or your own personal best on it, and you can see how you're doing to it. And it tells you and gives you progress. It tells you to hurry up or to slow down or or what have you, you know. So what that does is that the person that's doing that route is confident doing her run. Okay, so she's confident. She knows she's not checking her watch every 2 minutes to see if, oh, I've only another 1 kilometer to go. She knows that this route that she's doing is going to be good, and it's a better experience than her normal tracker. So it's the experience that we're after. We're originally an events company, so we provide experiences for people, and that's what we're looking is give people, you know, a better experience than what their normal tracker would do. Mary or the person can then see their time and the same route as everybody else as on a live leaderboard, and she can actually then interact with the person who's created the route. So whoever's created the route, she can contact them, chat to them, follow them on Instagram, and say, look, I really liked your route. And she might then, you know, like the routes that person has done out, and she might look for more routes that that person has done because she knows they're flat, or she likes hilly ones, or what have you. So whoever is doing it, you know, there is that interaction there, and that's what we're trying to do, is creating these communities, you know, that keep growing. All right. So rather than have it data driven, it's driven by the community, and the community then will grow for that. So I mentioned running there, that you can do it for running, but ideally we're planning to aim this at running, cycling, adventure races, and duathlons. Okay, so it's a huge market, and even stuff like walks as well can be included in it. So the possibilities and the opportunities for expanding the product offering on this app is massive. Okay, so it's not like you might see mentioned out there virtual runs and stuff like that that's out there, where you can run any route. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for that shared experience on the same route, whereas people can trust that route and trust that people, the people that set out that route are runners, are cyclists, are triathletes, that do it. So that gives it that, that's what that will, you know, drive the community. Okay. So how do we come about with this then? The idea of HotFoot. So we know the market. Okay, we're Ireland's leading sports event management company, and we pretty much have our finger on the pulse of all the problems and the issues that are in the market at the moment, and also you know, we're pretty much tech heads as well, with regards to the sports tracking market. You know, so we were able to analyze the problems out there, and what we've done is when we started our research on this, we found 3 main problems. Okay, first main problem is, it's the problem that everyone's experiencing, is that the pandemic that we have out there at mass participation, sport gatherings, have forced everybody in our industry to think differently about how we engage our users. So we all have lots of users that do our events, but we have to think differently of how we're going to actually engage them. Okay, so the existing tracker app market that's out there that we've analysed, they haven't got a huge amount of soul, they've no culture, they're very training driven and data driven, and whereas we're looking at focusing on the experience, okay, of the athletes, and the apps that are out there are not focused on the experience. And the third, as I said, problem we found out there was that people by the nature want to have something to show for their efforts. They want to be compared like for like for somebody on cycling and running routes, and that's what HotFoot does in like for like, you know, exact routes set out by experienced people. Okay. And the solution is what I explained to you is HotFoot and our HotFoot app, and we know that our engaged community of users will drive this platform itself, through the community that we're building. And yes, there's lots of other sports tracking apps out there, you know, but we're all about, you know, creating the brand, creating the community, and engaging what is a tech savvy audience that's out there to capitalize on the gap in the market. And we feel we're really well positioned for that at the moment. So I've outlined to everybody, the HotFoot app, okay, and that HotFoot app is a real solution to the problem that's out there in the market with it. So the next thing really is how do we monetize it? How do we actually make money? What is our business case, and how do we capitalize on that? So it's pretty straightforward. 2 main revenue models and streams that we have, revenue streams for the app. One is a monthly paid subscription. So users pay a monthly fee to access all the routes on the app, okay, and all the features that are associated with it. And we're hoping that in 3 years, we'll have 50,000 monthly subscribers, generating 5.5 million euros within year 3. The second main, excuse me, second main revenue stream is one-off purchases. What do we mean one-off purchases? So one-off purchases are the people who pay a one-off fee to do a particular route. Okay, so they might see a 10K or a half marathon or a 50K cycle or a 100K cycle, and they pay off on a one-off basis to experience that route and experience the features that are associated with that route. And we will be confident that we'll be able to convert those one-off users into monthly users with the experience and the quality of the app we'll be able to that we're providing for them. Okay. So as soon as the app goes live, then that means that we'll be generating income day one. Okay, so it's not like we're waiting a couple of years for this to come to fruition. This is day one. When the app goes live, we will be able to start generating revenues straight away. Okay, so our financial summary below sets out our projected growth over the next 3 years. Okay, so in 3 years, we hope to have 150 users for one-off and for subscribers with revenue close to 5.6 million users. So I know the old saying is that, you know, when you're doing your projections is, you know, paper doesn't refuse ink, and we can put whatever figures we want out there for it. But compared to the analysis that we've done on other sports tracking apps, our projections are quite modest, but more realistically for our business, they're realistic. Okay, they're realistic. We're not overshooting the mark on them. We feel that we will reach those targets over the next couple of years. Okay, so how are we going to meet those targets? Okay, the targets that we've set out. And just to give you, you know, more insight into that and how we're going to do it, I just want to give you a bit of a background, excuse me, into ourselves, into who we are. So 10 years ago, in the midst of the last recession, back in around 2000 and 2001, we set about building a company called Elite Event Management. And in the intervening 10 years, we've built that up into Ireland's leading mass participation sports company. So the first event we did, we 300 people taking part. Okay, yeah, and it was a learning experience for us all. But we now have 30,000 people taking part in our events every year, all across Ireland and in the UK. And we organise events that maybe you're aware of them or not aware of them. Events like the Ring of Beara cycle, it's a big event down in Kenmare, and the Quest Adventure Series. We've 6 or 7 of those events all around Ireland and in the UK, and the Wicklow 200 cycle. So this year we were on set and on target for a bumper year. We had 14 events planned. We had 9 full-time staff, and as I said, we're all set for a bumper year. All set for a bumper year, and but COVID had other plans about that. And the COVID pandemic hit the events industry pretty hard, and we had to rethink our business model. So yeah, it was tough, but what do? We have to adapt, we have to change, and we have to do something about it. And what we did was we have a great team. Okay, we have a great team of innovative people who know the sports industry inside out, and we came up with HotFoot, and we developed the HotFoot platform. So there's our mug shots there. So myself, so Cian, Miriam, and Annette, and I, we've all been working together for nearly 10 years, and we've been at the driving force really of our industry over those 10 years. And it's been, you know, we're innovative, but it's been no different during the pandemic. Yeah, our events stopped. We had a lot of spare time in our hands, and during this period we embraced on a couple of different projects. So we delivered 20,000 free cups of coffee to frontline health workers all over Ireland in an initiative called the Green Wave. And also just 2 weeks ago, we were chosen from thousands of other small businesses to go on to the Late Late Show for his Shop Local initiative. And we won a prize from Vodafone for €15,000. And it's a little project we're working on during the pandemic. It's called Box of Smiles, and it's a gift box with locally sourced craft items. So it just proves that we're innovative, we're forward thinking, and you know, and we use this drive that we have here to create HotFoot and we're essentially pivoting really from a bricks and mortar company, events company, into a tech company. So we're all excited. It's exciting times ahead for us. Okay. So how are our team going to sell the product to the market really? Okay, so we have this great product we've developed, and how are we going to get it to market and start getting our revenue in is what we're concerned about. You know, but we are in a great position because we have an existing database of runners and cyclists who have completed our events over the last 10 years and have had positive experience with us, and we're well regarded in the industry. Sometimes I feel if we put an egg and spoon race on tomorrow, people will go out and do it, you know. So we have good respect and people like what we do within the industry. So we will use that 80,000 strong email database and over 100,000 people on our social media across our different channels to launch this product into Ireland and the UK. So Annette, our head of marketing, is at the forefront of digital marketing strategies, and we'll have a huge ready-made market at very little cost for us to hit into. So what is our exit strategy? So how will you get a return on your investment in HotFoot is what the key is. Okay, so we've analysed, and there's a history of trade acquisitions in this sector. So for example, Under Armour acquired MyFitnessPal for €475 million. ASICS acquired the app Runkeeper for $83 million. And Adidas acquired the tracking app called Runtastic for $240 million as well. So there is a history out there for it. And our exit strategy is that businesses in this industry are typically trade off multiples of 7 times their earnings. And we expect to have earnings of €5.5 million after 3 years. And this would imply a forward valuation of 40 million after 3 years. So as it stands at the moment, this really compares well to our current valuation of $500,000. Okay, so why invest? It's a new standalone business with an outstanding ready-made database of quality end users that are accessible to us by email. Our company will be generating revenue from day one. We have an attractive revenue model with a reoccurring monthly income stream. We have a highly experienced management team that are well regarded within the industry. The industry we're progressing into, the sports tracker industry, as I've outlined, is a high growth industry, and our valuation is pretty modest at 500,000. But importantly as well is that it's EIS qualified, so you get a 40% tax refund on your investment. So if you invest 10,000, you get 4,000 back. Okay, so thanks a million everyone for listening to us today. But this is a really, really good opportunity to get in on the ground floor of an early tech stage or an early stage tech startup. All right, we have a proven team and we're in a rapidly expanding market. So if you could invest in HotFoot, we'd really appreciate it, and you'd be part of something special. So look, thanks a million for your time again, and if you have any questions, you can pop them into the questions and answers section there. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much indeed, Oliver. If you'd like to stop sharing your screen, we can all get onto the platform there. So Fergal, thanks very much for joining us. If you unmute, you've probably got a couple of questions you can fire to Oliver, if you can, please.
Yeah, thanks, Chris, and thanks, Oliver. Yeah, loads of questions coming in here, guys. So the first one was actually sent just in an email just before the presentation. So Oliver, is there a plan to offer the app as a free download? And I see this has been kind of asked as well, just in the Q&A section. Similar to Strava, is there a plan?
Our pricing strategy we're working through at the moment, and one of the pricing strategies we're looking at is the freemium model, where you get them on for free with a few features, and then if they want to expand on that, they can get more features, but they have to pay for it. Strava started off in that model, but now most of their main features are on a paywall. So we're working through our pricing strategy at the moment to finalize it, but it is something we're looking at in terms of freemium model.
Perfect. And just with regards to the one-off purchases, are they available to anyone, or just the people who've subscribed to the $8.99?
No, they're available to anyone, and once they download the app, they can either choose to download the app, and if they're monthly subscribers, all the routes will become available to them. But if you download the app and you're not a monthly subscriber and you go to select a route you'd like to do, you'll have to pay for that. There'll be costs associated with that.
Okay. How do you envisage growing user numbers outside of Ireland?
our database is mainly Ireland and the UK. So we feel with the connections we have within the events industry all over the world, we're known to different sports event organisers that will be reaching out to all these people, and they'll be putting roots on it as well and driving it through those events industries, or those events that they have. But literally any revenue that we get from initially for the first couple of years will be used to reinvest back into expanding out these locations. We also have a large network internationally of ambassadors who work with our events. So kind of micro influencers, not the major social media, Instagram influencers, but we have influencers who are respected around the world that do our events. We'll be tapping out to them to work and become ambassadors with us.
Very good. I've got a question here concerning EIS. So I just want to do that one. Is if one uses the EIS entrance process, is the exit capped as opposed to someone who does not use this process? Well, all investments on Spark, yes, most of the companies are EIS, which means you can avail of that, but there is no cap to it. So you are getting ordinary shares just like everybody else in there. There's no cap to that, so you get an exit along with everybody else at that same rate. So if the company is sold at a 2x or 5x premium at the time that you bought in at, i.e. the pre-money valuation, then you will get all of that money on top. So that's the situation with all of the investments through the Spark process. Hope that's answered that one for you, Fergal.
Yeah, so just regarding the revenue model here, so you charge $8.99 a month, which seems very competitive. It's just a comment here. But what are your costs? And also, what kind of percentage of your revenue are you looking to reinvest in R&D per year? And what is the feature roadmap around that, Oliver?
Okay, so just on the first question on that, is our revenue model in terms of being competitive. Yeah, $8.99 a month is our planned strategy at the moment for our pricing strategy, and it is competitive. Sorry, the other question then, Fergal, was?
Well, just what percentage of the revenue will be reinvested into R&D, so into new products and new routes, etc. So for say next year, what are you looking at reinvesting in?
We've been looking at reinvesting pretty much as we can. Okay, we're pretty lean in terms of our organisation we have here. We're based down in Kerry, so it's we have very little overheads. So we'll be focusing on investing as much as we possibly can back into R&D and developing and expanding the product outwards.
Very good. Question here: what happens if this went viral and you had 250,000 subscribers in a few weeks? It's a good situation to be in, but how would you cope with that, both technically and kind of operationally as well? Okay,
we're building the app in a way and the platform in a way that it can handle lots of users. So we're using one of Ireland's top app developers to develop it. So one of our criteria with that is that it has to handle as many users as possible. So if that's 1 million or 500,000 users, that's our criteria we have set for them, that it can handle that. From an operational side of things, and from say, for example, a customer service side of things, we can hire in here pretty quickly. We 9 staff starting back in March, and they'd all come back into us straight away, and we had to gear up pretty quickly. As I said, we're different to a normal kind of startup. What it might be in a bedroom or a garage. We have a fully operational office here with office space and all the facilities that's required. So we'll be able to resource up that pretty quickly.
Very good.
Excellent. And just some questions here around the technical aspect of the app. So which wearables are compatible with Apple Watch, Fitbit, etc.? And do I need to carry my phone when running, for example? And are you planning your own line of wearables in the future?
Okay, just on that, which apps is it going to be compatible, or which wearable technologies is going to be compatible with? We're building it so that it'll be compatible with as many as possible. We're building on both the Android and the Apple platforms, so that expands it out as well. Sorry, for the other question, that was?
Just in terms of your phone, do you need to carry the phone with you?
To get the best out of the functions that we have on the app, we're advising people to bring their phone with them. A lot of people run with their phone for their music or whatnot, or cycle with it and have it in their back. some people don't. So you can download the map to your smartwatch or your bike computer, and you can follow it through that, but you won't get all the functions that we have associated with if you bring your phone with you.
Excellent. And just a very good question here as well. As a Fitbit user, would I need to have Fitbit Premium to access HotFoot or similar? You know, so can you use the HotFoot app, or how do you see that?
I don't know the exact answer to that. I don't know about the Fitbit Premium, but the way we're building the app is going to be as accessible as possible to as many different wearable devices as we can.
Perfect.
Okay. Question here: who will run this when you are back running the events post-COVID? And also, sorry, at the same time as that, Oliver, is this a separate company to the events? Sorry, is this a separate company to the events company? And if so, how can they email that database and be GDPR compliant? Okay,
so just answering that, our existing company we have at the moment is called Elite Event Management. The new company, the vehicle for our HotFoot app is called Elite Sports Tech. They're two separate companies, but we have a bridging agreement between both because the similar directors have gone across both for the information to be transferred across, whether it be email database and that. And our accountants and our solicitors have looked at that in regards to the bridging format, okay, for the database to go across. The other one is, the other question they asked was how, when the events get back going up again, how are we going to do it? So during the period of our fallow period, so to speak, over the last 9 months or 8 months at this stage, we've looked at our strategy totally different with our events. When we kick back, we had 14 events planned for this year. But if we weren't doing this, developing the HotFoot app, and we were to kick off again in 2021, we're going to reduce our events down and bring our staff down because it's just sustainable. It wasn't sustainable in a way that for expansion. Whereas the HotFoot app is something that we can apply our resources to in a more sustainable manner, and that we can expand out through it. So in other words, we're reducing our events in 2021, if we're going to have events in 2021 or 2022, so from 14 down to about 4 or 5, and putting our full focus on HotFoot.
Very good. Very good. Do you have one more?
Yeah, so I have one around the IP, and just a couple of comments around the ghosting function. Sounds really good. Can it be protected or patented so competitors can't copy the function? And also, just is there any other USBs or IP that you can kind of impose on any of the product, Oliver?
So the technology we're using is used in a lot of different apps. So a lot of the elements of the technology isn't something we can patent. It's out there. It's innovating from the existing technology that's there. Okay, so we'll be, trademarking our brand, but the ghost function we feel is something that we can patent, and we're exploring that at the moment. That is one element of it that's not done in other apps. So we are exploring to get that patented.
Excellent. And can you, on that ghost function, is there potential there to look at searching for similar athletes of your same age or fitness level, so you can kind of pick someone as almost like a pacemaker, as a pacer in a certain route?
Yeah, so there's a wide range of criteria you can select for your for the person you're going to be ghosting. So it could be a male, female, it could be the fastest time on the route, your fastest time on the route last week, the average time, and different age categories. Then someone over 40s or over 50s or over 60s, you can check the age category as well for it. So there's a wide range of different subsections you can look for in your ghost function.
Excellent. And would you consider, I see a question here about the hiking and walking sector as well. Is there also the ability to go into that space, Oliver, in terms of trails and different routes there that hill walkers may be using?
Yeah, there is something that is part of our overall plan, when we do expand it. But the key with us is getting the product to the market with keeping it simple and keeping it to the running, cycling and duathlon and adventure racing routes for starters. And then a part of our expansion will be, from our market research that we've done with our existing customers, and we asked them about our app, that was brought up, was can you do walking routes on it? Another thing that popped up is, can you have stuff that's safe for kids? So if you have a route you want to go on a cycle with the kids in the park, we can expand on that as well. So the possibilities for the app are huge, and we can expand out that through it once we start building our community.
Fantastic.
Great. Okay. Okay, guys, listen, I think we'll leave it there. We're over our half hour, just a little bit, but nevertheless, I think we've gone through a good chunk of those questions. As always, we will send those questions on to Oliver and get him to write a response to each of them. And we'll post that up on the site later on today, or probably tomorrow, actually, and send out the recording of the video if you want to go through it as well. So I think we'll probably just leave it there. So thank you very much, Oliver, for a great question and answer session, and of course the presentation before that. It all sounds very exciting, and hopefully you know, this will boost a little bit more of investment into the business. But okay, thanks very much then, guys. Listen, we'll speak again soon. Thanks now.